You ready? I'm ready. You ready? I'm
So
ready.
I'm here with my friend Jeremy.
I'm ready.
He's a chef. We've been friends for about like 8 years.
Longer than that. You've been tolerating me longer than that.
It's been a long time.
Yeah.
But I'm back in Chicago now, so I'm not on the road anymore. But obviously the restaurant industry has been really hit hard by this thing, so I figured might as well talk to somebody in the industry. So Jeremy, how have these things been? How has this whole ordeal been affecting you thus far?
I mean, the big thing is that, diners aren't dining out. So, you sit there and you're having to cut your labor force, trying to find work for them. We actually are very fortunate that we have a retail license. So we took our dining room area and basically kind of transformed it into a makeshift grocery store as much as we could. And we keep expanding that every single week. And now we're trying to do prepackaged meals where people could buy something and take with them. And just kind of changing our whole entire game. We had to change the menu to make it more to-go friendly for people because we didn't want people to get poached eggs and hollandaise and then get it and it's cold. And,
Yeah.
I would totally understand that and just be like, this is garbage. Like, I don't want to deal with that. So we made that change and then we just kind of keep changing it, tweaking it. And now we're trying to figure out ways to get our staff back involved and being able to give them a job.
Cool. So, unlike a lot of people in your industry right now, you have some job security and you're still able to work. How do you feel that this overall is going to change the restaurant industry, not only in Chicago, but in the United States and possibly the entire world?
I think it's going to be pretty eye-opening for a lot of people. I think restaurants are going to have a really hard time in the beginning, struggling to come back. Especially the smaller little ones, because people now have learned how to cook at home.
Yeah.
They were probably going to be tired of it. There'll probably be that big bum rush in the beginning where people are going to want to go out and dine because they haven't done it for so long. But I think then it's going to, the trust factor is the coronavirus is still out there.
Right.
We're going to reopen.
Or something worse.
Yeah. We're going to reopen, but we still may not be there yet. We might not be through it. Somebody else could get somebody else sick, and there's just... It's a lot of risk. It's going to be interesting to see what happens.
I guess at the very least, or I guess at the very positive, whatever you want to call it, at this point, there's nobody really saying that any of these cases came from foodborne products. Like nobody's saying it came from fast food or restaurants or food or dining in general.
I've heard of people saying it's coming from clothing or cardboard that it could stay on there
or
6 to 8 hours or something along those lines.
Gas pumps and things like that.
So
just contact
we're trying to be very conscious of how we're doing things,
Yeah.
Classy old little sanitizer right here. Very handy, making sure that we're wiping down.
I'll buy that for $300.
No, not for sale. But we're trying to make sure that we are being as sanitary as possible and not touching our faces, and trying to be really smart about it, keeping our distance from people. And we work with a lot of local farmers, so we've been very fortunate to see the work that farmers are doing in our community and how they've changed as well to doing like online ordering to supply groceries to people. We actually had a farmer here on Wednesday that just hung out in our back area so people could come pick up food from him.
Nice. You're literally the first restaurant and first chef that has bought citrus from me in 2 weeks. So.
Well, I would have bought more if you had different variety, and I was so excited. I actually went with Dave down to Florida and got to pick some of the citrus myself and had a blast doing it. It was a lot of fun, a lot of work, and it was a good time, and I was really excited for Dave to come back, and then he only brought 2 varieties, and I was like, come on, man!
I couldn't bring any more.
I know.
I couldn't get any more.
What I should have done, and this is what I made the mistake, I should have told you, then can you get your hands on these things for me?
Yeah.
And I could have pre-ordered them in that sense.
I guess so.
If I was smarter.
But it was still really hard for me to I'm not going to go all the way to a packing house to get 25 pounds or whatever.
I get it.
So, what are your major concerns with this pandemic on your personal end?
Joggers.
Well, your wife is in healthcare.
Yeah.
So
my wife is a nurse. She's actually one of the people that actually works in a ventilator hospital. This term that you've heard a lot about. She has been trained for this. She's actually had patients that have had SARS and MRSA. So she's very well equipped to deal with this problem. But she's in a ventilator hospital, so it's a special hospital in the sense that they take care of the people that are in these extreme situations. They're not the front line. I think one of the things that our government is doing wrong, and I hate saying this, is that they should take people like my wife and put them at the front lines because they know how to deal with it. And they are been trained adequately for it, and they understand it. I'm not saying most nurses don't. That's a bad comment to say because I have tons of respect for the people in the healthcare field, but the people like
But
my
she's a
wife-
specialist.
Yeah.
She specializes in that
Yep.
particular
She's
field.
well aware of it. She understands it. She gets it. She has the gear to use. But I don't know. She was offered a ton of money to go to New Jersey and sit there and work there on a 4-week program for them to help them out. But my wife's like, I don't know if they have the right equipment. If I go there, all of a sudden, if they don't have the equipment, then how can I really do my job?
Right.
So it's very interesting to sit there and talk with her and kind of sit there and see what's going on with the government and how states are addressing it. And I'm very fortunate to be in Illinois because I think our Governor Pritzker is doing a good job. For the most part, I can't blame him for what he's done. I wish it was stricter.
Yeah.
Really do. I have a severe problem with joggers. I love people that want to get there, exercise. I'm one of those people too. I like to get out in the woods, hike, and roam around. But man, at this point in time, like sit in your house in front of your window and jog in place.
Right.
Help us out. You're just sitting there, your mouth breathing out there and going crazy. And
It's weird being back in the city. I haven't really, I basically just beelined at home and slept for a day and a half. This is my first time out in the city since I got back. And just coming here to see you was kind of an interesting experience because as I was walking in, there was a guy walking down the sidewalk and he stopped and backed up and waited for me to come by and get in the door. And I had not, I drove across the entire country from Florida to Chicago. I drove 1,300 miles and I didn't see anything like that in any of the places I was at.
I'm glad. I actually saw him in the grocery store this morning. I had to stop there this morning. I have allergies. So I went and got some Allegra, and I was kind of going, oh my God, I got to get Allegra before somebody sees me, my nose is runny or I sniffle or something along those lines. They're going to be like, oh my God, this guy's got, COVID-19. I'm like, oh man, I got to get it because the grocery store's been out of it. But the person that was in the grocery store, they have lines marked in the grocery store now, you can't go past this point.
Right.
The clerks, they'll yell at you. They'll let you know.
Yeah.
And I thought that was great. Good for them. Standing up and trying to protect their own safety and well-being. And I'm all for that. I wish the joggers would figure it out. People taking their kid for a stroll.
Yeah.
It's not the time. I hate to say it. It sucks, but get a hobby.
Right.
Find a new one. Learn how to cook.
Yeah. Now, do you have any personal concerns about contracting the virus yourself or your
Absolutely.
wife bringing it home?
Absolutely.
Do you have any contact with immunocompromised people or elderly relatives? I know most of your family
Absolutely.
doesn't live around here.
My family doesn't live around here, but there's a lot of people that have immune deficiency, things that happen to their bodies, except there's a couple that work here actually that I work with. And my wife was diagnosed with an autoimmune disease at one point in time in her life. We eventually figured out that was not the case. She actually had a different thing that was wrong. She had TR malformation. But, I get it. I try and be really good myself and watch my own sanitation and working in the kitchen. I already feel I got a leg up on a lot of people because I'm used to washing my hands. I'm used to not touching my face when I'm at work because you can't do it.
Yeah, being a chef is probably kind of equivalent to being a doctor as far as just awareness of sanitation.
Oh yeah, I definitely love sanitation and the employees here. I've been calling them out. I was already doing that before the pandemic was quote unquote labeled a pandemic. I was I'd see the girls, they'd want to touch their hair or whatever.
Yeah.
And be pretty, and the boys would like to do the little comb over, and I'd be like, hey, dude, you gotta wash your hands.
Yeah.
You can't sit there and go talk to people like that. That's disgusting.
Yeah.
I tease them and I tell them, you're a filthy animal. And we would joke around about it, but then, the first day that it was really pronounced here in the city, they were washing their hands so much, they were getting red, and they were just irritated and everything left, and just hand sanitizer. And they're like, "What? Why are your hands like that, Jeremy?" And I was like, "My hands have been doing this for years.
Right.
My hands are dry because of all the sanitizer and all the soap washing that I do on a consistent basis already."
When I was a kid, I had reptiles and amphibians, and I did reptile shows and stuff, and I was hyper aware of, like, I don't want to get salmonella, and I washed my hands so much that my knuckles were always bleeding.
Yeah.
So I'm familiar with that whole thing. How do you feel how do you feel about how the administration is handling this? You said you're happy with the way the state is handling it, but what about federally, on the federal level?
What have they done? I mean, we knew about this when it happened in China. We knew about this months ago. We saw the extreme measures they took. Then we decided that we were going to block flights to, China, because we were just calling it the Chinese virus, or whatever our president was saying at the time. But we didn't react soon enough. Like, we had that knowledge right then and there, and people were telling us like how bad this could be, and we didn't listen. We didn't follow through and go, "Hey, let's lock it down right now." It sucks, and financially it hurts everyone that's out there, and people are struggling. But man, think about if we would have just locked it down right from the get-go.
Especially in February,
Yeah.
because that's a slow month for restaurants anyway.
Yeah, if we would have just locked down our borders to our country and people coming into our country and sat there and made them sit aside for 14 days, right then and there, we wouldn't have had to shut down America. We wouldn't have had to do what we're doing right now. But we're having to do what we do right now because we didn't sit there and listen to what was going on and think about it and be proactive. We wanted to be reactive because we're Americans and this isn't going to happen to us. We're so much better than the world. We're the biggest economy. They can't survive without us. Oh my God, oh my God.
It's kind of an American tradition to manage symptoms instead of curing the original problem.
Yeah, I mean,
it's the same thing with border situation. Like, instead of going after the people that are coming across the border, go after the people that are giving them the reason to come here. Like, there's a solution there. Is you punish the people that are causing them, giving them the jobs in the first place, not the people that are looking for the jobs. There's very simple solutions here, and nobody's seeing them.
Yeah, I agree definitely with that thought, but I think our government failed as a whole, and I think that it's been very common with our current president, and this is going to continue to happen. Look at all the people that quit. They just keep quitting for him.
I'm almost 100% sure that Fauci, he'll be gone by next Friday.
Oh, I mean,
he's going to be fired.
Wouldn't be surprising, But it's really sad that all these people that have all this great experience and are speaking the truth are getting fired or put into a corner because they're telling the truth.
Right.
And our government is shutting them down, and they're forcing themselves to quit because they just can't take it anymore.
Yeah.
And it's really sad to see. And I really think it's going to blow back on all these Republican senators and House representatives that voted not to impeach this guy. When we knew he was bad. The only good Republican that I can think of off the top of my head is Mitt Romney. He was the only one that voted his conscience.
Yeah.
God bless him. God bless the people of Utah to have somebody that can sit there and hold their ground. Good for them.
It's funny to see Republicans turn against their own presidential candidates from like just a few years ago. They hated McCain. They hated Romney.
Oh, yeah.
It's like, who else ran for president? Who else was presidential candidates in the last?
I think Romney did the right thing, voting his conscience. And, I'm not my political allegiance doesn't matter, but I think our government has failed sorely, and we had an opportunity to change that at one point in time, and we failed in that regards because we followed political lines, and now we're sitting there lying in the mess because our government couldn't react to this, and we knew it.
And we kind of deserve it.
Yeah.
We asked for it.
Unfortunately,
we asked for it.
Yep.
And
it's going to be a reckoning. And the bad thing is that if you look at where this virus is taking effect, it's taking effect in major metropolitan areas. And those are all democratically controlled states.
Yeah.
So, those Democratic governors are doing a great job, I think, in addressing and calling the government out. Once it hits the rural areas, which is starting to, once those areas start blowing up, it's going to blow back at them.
One of the things I noticed when I was traveling is people in small towns were not concerned about the virus. and they were literally saying, I'm not worried about the virus because we don't have any cases around here. And I'm like, no, you don't have any tests around here.
Yep.
It's not that you don't have any cases around
Nope.
here. And they're like, oh, watch out when you get up to Nashville. They got a lot of cases up there. I was like, you know what? I won't watch out because the people that are sick know that they're sick. They're not out in society wandering around.
Yep.
So them knowing that the cases are there is better than being under the illusion that
Yeah.
there's no cases at all.
Well, I mean, did you hear about the church where the pastor had a ceremony
yeah.
and all the parishioners got it, committed COVID-19?
And then there was another guy that died from it that was saying it was a hoax and stuff.
Yeah.
So,
It's rough.
yeah.
It's rough out there.
and then final question: do you feel like when this is all when this is all said and done with, that we will be further apart or closer together? Do you think it's going to tear us apart further, or do you think it's going to bring us back together?
I think it'll bring us back together because if you look at the actions of some people like Elon Musk, who's taken his Tesla factory in New York and transferred it over to sit there and make ventilators, people like that are amazing. People like the farmers that I see that are bringing produce and changing the game of how they do things to put food into the community, I think is an amazing thing. Hotels, using them to, put homeless families in and shelter them and sit there and protect them. I think what the community is doing is, I'm starting to cry.
Yeah.
Is an amazing, beautiful thing, and it's sad to see that the people have to do it.
I think if there's anything else positive that comes out of this, it's that this is great stuff. This is great. This is emotional stuff.
Yeah.
But I think if there's anything good and positive that comes out of this, is Trump will have a few thousand less voters when all is said and done, because the very people that think this is a hoax that are going out and intentionally exposing themselves to it, well, those are the Trump base. These old boomers that think that anything that makes the president look bad is somehow a conspiracy and it's not true and it's not real. But I've been talking to people all over the world, not just the country, and this is happening everywhere. It's not a conspiracy.
I think healthcare is going to get a boost out of this. I think education is going to get a boost out of this, and I think it's going to be a beautiful thing in that sense. Is people that are supporting us and getting us through this horrible time are going to have a real value to our community. Grocery store clerk, somebody that you just take for granted now,
right,
is actually a person that's putting their life on the line to feed you and your family.
It's what I've been saying for a while now. Like, where are all the billionaires and millionaires you've been sucking the dick of for the last 20 years? What are they doing right now? They're sitting in their ivory towers with their security keeping the peasants out.
Some of them aren't. Elon Musk
some of them
is doing an amazing thing for taking that Tesla factory and turning it into refrigerators. And there's some other ones that are going to step up to the plate. They've been donating money. I'm from Seattle. Russell Wilson and Kiara donated like a million meals to the food bank to help feed people throughout this time. And there's people that are doing amazing things, and that's what's great to see.
Good. Well, thanks a lot, Jeremy. I appreciate it.
I hate you. You made me cry. All right.
I'm glad that you have job security in this trying time, and that you're doing what you can to service the people of the city.
Yeah, I'm trying to make it better.
Yeah.
I'm trying to find ways and serve great food to people and help them out and figure out new ways that I can bring more business to not only our restaurant, but bring it and get people in here working and get our community back together again.
And as a produce purveyor and grower, I really appreciate you supporting us at this time.
Yeah, no worries, man.
Thank you.
I can't wait to get out in the woods and forage with you.
Yeah. Thanks, man.
Yep, no worries.